What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tuned Up on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And we have a very, very packed show for you today. We've got reviews of Wolfwalkers, which premiered at TIFF last weekend. We're also covering shows like Aggretsuko, Dragon's Dogma, Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous, and the Fungies, which we're finally getting to about a month after its release.
Sorry.
Yeah, things get busy around here.
We'll also be talking about the anime short film Happy-Go-Lucky Days before we dive into the shows and Wolfwalkers.
Yeah, see, today's going to be a long one. And that's even without the news. Cameron, take us around the world.
Okay, so we're going to go through a few just kind of small news stories before we get to some of the major ones that we'll dive into a little deeper. So, everyone's favorite frozen snowman Olaf is getting a origin story, or at least a prequel or mid-quel story.
Something like that.
Yeah, called Once Upon a Snowman, which will hit Disney Plus October 23rd. From the Crunchyroll Expo, Toonami and Crunchyroll are teaming up to make a Shenmue anime series, which will be 13 episodes long and is based off of the cult classic Sega video game. Now, some sad news. Kippo and the Age of Wonder Beasts will be back October 12th next month, but it will be for one final season.
How weird is that? Like, we get the entire run of a series in a single year.
Oh, it's weird. And Crunchyroll and Sentai Filmworks will be collaborating for physical home releases, which means Sentai will be bringing anime series that were mostly on Crunchyroll and put them on, Blu-ray and DVD and whatnot. The Super Mario movie from Illumination is being officially confirmed for 2022 with Shigeru Miyamoto involved as producer. Guillermo del Toro talked a tiny bit more about his Pinocchio film for Netflix and when it's coming, and about the story and how it's going to take place during the era of the reign of Mussolini, which is, as if the original fairy tale of Pinocchio wasn't already dark enough.
Yeah, this just takes it up to 11.
Yeah. So, everyone's favorite animated film from 2019, Arctic Dogs, is getting a TV series, and it started on September 15th. Of course, we're 5 days late from as of recording this. And it's going to be like a bundle of episodes, and you can purchase them or rent them from Amazon Prime, and they'll be watchable on other services also. All right. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that deal got made, but it's going to happen. Whatever. So, Primal is coming back in October on the 5th, and will have 5 more episodes to conclude Season 1, and there's already a Season 2 happening. We will be talking about Season 1, but we're going to wait until those 5 episodes finish up, just to get the whole story.
And so I can catch up.
Yes, indeed. But if you haven't watched it yet, watch it. So, AMC is greenlighting another show, a stop-motion dramedy called Mega City Smiths from Steve Conrad, and will be made by Stupid Buddy Studios, the Robot Chicken guys. It will premiere for 2021 for 6 30-minute episodes. Well, I'm curious to see what happens. As everyone knows, I was not fully fond of Crossing Swords, so hopefully this new show can elevate the studio, and hopefully we get something a little different than what their bread and butter is. Now, for the final small news story, Paramount Animation is going to adapt the horror comic Stray Dogs. And it's based off of the comic that has been described as Silence of the Lambs meet Lady and the Tramp.
Interesting description, but I'm down.
And it's going to be the screenwriter is Mark Perez of Game Night, which that's interesting. And Gary Dauberman, who Annabelle Films and It, will be producing it. I'm curious to see this because I've never heard of this book or this comic, and we don't get horror animation, and I'm wondering how dark this is or how actually scary it is, or if we're just in another prepared state of getting something similar to the Addams Family film from last year.
Given the producer, though, I have a feeling it's at least going to be, at the level of I don't know, like an Annabelle creation or something.
Mm-hmm. So at least should be
that's good. Like I've been saying all year, we need more horror animated projects.
Agreed. We're going to blow through this one because it's kind of come and gone and there's not much to say about it, but we are aware of the Made by Maddie Hair Love controversy that happened where the Nick Jr. preschool series Made by Maddie got a lot of flack for having very similar designs and vibe to the Oscar-winning Hair Love. Nick has pulled the show. That was supposed to air, I think, like last week. So, not much to say. I do think it was weird timing, and I don't buy the excuse that the studio that Made by Maddie made, saying like, "Oh, this took 5 years to make, way before Hair Love." Even though, go ahead.
The coincidences there's just too many.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I don't think their excuse is good enough, and yeah, so that's all we have to say about that topic. There's not much to it. If there was maybe like more drama or pushback, we'd probably talk about it a little more, but there's really not. So, I guess this is new to us in a sarcastic way. Venture Brothers got canceled by Adult Swim. Well, a lot of apparently the blame should not be put on Adult Swim for canceling it. Apparently it was like a AT&T decision. But yeah, the long-running 7-season show, fan favorite Adult Swim show finally ended, even though everyone else had to find out like way after it happened. The cancellation happened. So
I feel bad for those who had to like sit on the news for months and probably torturing themselves in the process.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, I feel bad for the team because it's a well-written and funny show, and it was very complex. It was like one of the, I guess you could say, hipster trendsetters for adult animation to dive into very adult topics while using a very quirky premise of because originally the show started out as like a parody of like Johnny Quest and all those 80s action shows like G.I. Joe and Justice Friends and whatnot. And then it just went on into its own direction and became much more than that. But I can't say I was surprised by the cancellation. Everyone kind of knows that it takes like at least 2 to 3 years for a new season to get made. And those new seasons are only like 8 to 10 episodes long. And yeah, and especially with how the story was getting told, with how they were expanding on the world, the characters and themes and commentary, it's a very hard to stay committed to. I honestly dropped off after a few maybe 4 seasons, like the big dance at the Venture compound. And so yeah, it's like I don't know what they could have done. They chose to keep it cheap but high quality, and they really wanted to hone in on and perfect the scripts. But I don't know. What do you think?
It's hard to really say what they could have done to keep this going. I think I think there's a lot of behind the scenes shakeups happening at Warner Media right now. So pretty much everyone is on edge. So yeah, it sucks that this show got put on the chopping block, but hey, seven seasons is not nothing.
No, that's
still,
way longer.
Yeah, that's still an achievement.
No, and I mean that's kind of the problem when you make a very story-based show. If you do not keep up the fandom, the viewers, and whatnot, you're going to end up with a show that's going to get canned, and now you have an incomplete story. And from what I'm hearing, people are like, oh, they were finally doing something with the story between the Monarch and Dr. Venture. And it's like, if it took 7 seasons to finally get to that point in the show, what were they doing? Like, I don't know. I think I have to rewatch the show to see what happened, because I'm just wondering, like, did they just care too much? Like, did they enjoy the world too much? And then just kind of like, oh yeah, we kind of leave our characters to the sideline while we focus on everything else. I mean, I don't know. I'm so mixed on this, and I don't want the creators to hear this and be like to think I'm dunking on the show. I'm not. I'm conflicted.
I think I need to give this show a full rewatch one of these days, because I've honestly only ever seen like bits and pieces.
It's so good, and it's very funny too. I still get a huge kick out of like when Henchman 24 is talking to the ghost of his best friend, and his friend's just like, yeah, just come on, ask me anything. And he's like, okay, what's the meaning of the universe? The color 12. Really? No. Now ask me something less Hitchhiker's Guide. And or it's like they'll have like little tangents, like like who would win in a fight, a plesiosaur or a Bigfoot? And it's so like it has so much charm and character to it, and I think this show's going to get picked up for HBO Max. I just don't see it. Or if it does, they're going to get a bigger team. They're going to maybe, I don't know. I don't want them to lose the quality of the writing or the animation. But if they're going to get brought back, they need to either keep the fans up to date, like constantly, or they need to get these seasons out faster.
Let's see how the Boondocks does first before we start talking about Avenger Brothers Revival.
Yeah, I forgot that's happening, because it's not happening on HBO Max. I think it's happening on BET.
Nope, it is HBO Max.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay. I thought it was BET. I guess that was originally the plan, but we'll see. So the anime distributor Funimation is going to be co-producing a new original film called Sing a Bit of Harmony from the award-winning filmmaker Yasuhiro Yoshiura, who directed Patima's Inverted. And I find this interesting because you don't really hear a whole lot of like when anime distributors in the US have to dive into the actual production. Like outside of maybe like they have to go over to the Japanese studios and be like, hey, do you approve of this English cast we're going to give your show and whatnot? But that's really it. And yeah, I think this is pretty interesting. It's going to be produced by JC staff, and I saw the trailer and it looked pretty good. I'm always down for more original films and anime.
Yeah, this looks like it's it looks cute, and I'm fascinated by the idea of Funimation being a little more hands-on in the production side of things.
Yeah, I'm wondering if because it got bought out by Sony, I wonder if that's why they're able to do this, because
it's possible. You know, with more capital, they have more resources. They can be more involved creatively.
Yeah, and for some reason, everybody's been kind of at Funimation for some reason this year, mostly because of that stupid controversy with interspecies reviewers, because they canned it 3 episodes in and took it off their service. And everybody got mad at that for some reason, because apparently that was the worst thing to ever happen. Even though now that super ecchi, lightweight adult erotica is now getting picked up by Critical Mass Studios, a hentai distributor. So now you kind of have to go buy it from where it maybe should have gone in the first place. And then people are like, oh man, they're going to get more hands-on with the production of certain anime. They're going to censor everything.
Even though that's never really been what Funimation's done.
No, they are not for kids. Everybody needs to let that go. Like it's like how people hate Netflix because they do the whole like once they have the whole season they dump it on their service instead of doing simulcast, which is a good thing for some of these services, but it's also really stressful because you have to, get the subtitles or the dub ready by the release of the episode. So I don't know. I'm interested. I think this is a good thing. I can't wait for the film. And it's coming out next year.
Nice. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. So it'll be released in Japan in 2021, and coming soon to the US and Canada. So let's see. We have 3 more stories before we dive into the short and the shows and then the amazing movie. Selena Gomez has been named executive producer for the upcoming Hotel Transylvania 4. She'll be returning also as Mavis Dracula, the daughter of Adam Sandler's, Dracula. And Genndy Tartakovsky is going to come as a executive producer and writer for the 4th film. And it will be the directorial debut of Jennifer Kluska, who worked on DC Superhero Girls, Wildcrats, and was a storyboarder for Hotel Transylvania 2 and 3 and Smurfs: The Lost Village. And Derek Dryman, who was nominated for 3 Emmys for SpongeBob, Adventure Time, and was a director for Cat Dog and Hey Arnold.
That is a solid creative team right there.
Yeah, I think this sounds pretty promising. I really liked the 3rd movie. And I think why I liked it was because Genndy took more control. Like, these are some of Adam Sandler's better films.
Mm-hmm.
But I think once Genndy took control of the writing and the storytelling and such, the films got better.
I agree. Hotel Transylvania 3 is my favorite of the films so far.
Oh, I love the 3rd one. I love the 3rd one and the 1st one the most.
Yeah, I like 2, just not as much as the 1st one. Even though I think Keegan-Michael Key is a better. Was it The Mummy that he voiced?
Yeah, The Mummy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was a better Mummy
than CeeLo, and I mean there were definitely some funny jokes in Transylvania 2, like when they realized that dropping Dracula's new grandson off the high tower was not a good idea, and then the tower falls and crashes into a fire pit, a bonfire, and Frankenstein starts running past and starts torching all the cabins. Or when
or just anytime Blobby's on screen.
Oh, Blobby's funny. And I love when Mel Brooks's character, who was Dracula's dad, comes to the party, to the birthday party, and Andy Samberg's character's parents walk up to him, and of course Andy Samberg's parents in the films are played by Megan Mullally and which is a great combination, especially if you've seen Parks and Rec, where they are just a riot and a half. And they're married in real life, so duh. And they walk up to Mel Brooks and they're like, "Oh man, you reek! Here, how's the deodorant?" Like, you must be European. And then Nick Offerman's like, great, honey, you just insulted an entire country. Good job. But yeah, I think the third one has my favorite balance of like jokes, animation, and story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I can't wait. I'm down for the fourth film.
Same.
Zack Snyder, who is not the worst thing ever, everyone. Chill out. Okay, back to the news story. His new Netflix film, Army of the Dead, is getting a prequel film and a anime series. I think that's interesting. Netflix is obviously investing a lot into this movie being like the next big franchise maker for.
Not just that, but in general, they've been investing a lot into anime, period. Of course, they want to do an anime for Army of the Dead.
Yeah, and let's see here. It'll be the origin story of Bautista's character and his rescue crew during the initial fall of Vegas as they confront the mysterious source of the zombie outbreak. And Zack Snyder will direct 2 episodes of the series. And Jay Olivia, who worked on Batman The Dark Knight Returns, running as well and directing 2 episodes. No anime studio, so we'll have to wait for more information when the time comes for this story.
Do you have any preferences for like who you'd like to see involved in the project?
It's tough because this is such a distinct anime or project, or do you mean like just in general?
Like just like let me rephrase the question. Which studio do you think would handle the zombie aesthetic the best?
Kind of depends. If we want 2D, I think we need like a Science Saru maybe, or maybe a Studio Mappa. But if we're doing CGI, Orange Studio, because they're the only
Orange
ones
Studio.
who have made. They're the ones who do Beastars and Land of the Lustrous. And they're the only ones who have made CGI work super well. But also Studio Mappa did as well with Doro Hidoro. So I think really that's it. And if they had to bring on directors, maybe the Train to Busan director, just like fantasy casting and such.
I was thinking the same thing. Even though that's South Korean, or
Yeah,
but still,
like just get a few different directors and such. I mean, like zombie media, Walking Dead notwithstanding, has turned in some pretty good movies. There's definitely been a lot of schlock, but all things considered, Train to Busan was a really good movie.
you know who I'd like to see involved that you haven't mentioned yet? Studio 4C.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Because I was thinking back to their work on like the Animatrix and Batman Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
And I really like their aesthetic. So to see them like tackling zombies, that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be a good one as well. So, but you know what? I'm excited. I want to see this new Snyder product. I think he got screwed over by WB. Like, even if I'm not a full-on fan of some of his work or his decisions and whatever, and no, I'm not talking about his out-of-context comments. I like him as a director. I think he's gotten way too much hate, and apparently for some reason this weekend, everyone's just like, well, at least it's not Snyder, the most original comment ever. So it's like, shut up. So I'm looking forward to it.
Same.
If
you've seen my Twitter over the weekend, you've probably seen me getting very upset with honestly with both sides of the Snyder spectrum.
It's it's super hard to be a fan of his work because of those two sides. Like, the extreme sides of anything are bad. We just need to all mellow out.
Agreed.
So, for our final news article, Don Bluth is finally getting back into animation. He has opened a new studio and will start with making shorts called Bluth Fables, akin to nursery rhymes and Aesop fables. And the plan is to go into like production of shorts and animated features to, bring back 2D animation. I have a lot of mixed thoughts about this. On one hand, I think it's very cool to see him back. And I know his run in the 90s and the early 2000s was not great. Let's just be clear.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it was not great. But he's still a very distinct visual and film individual. I think he could bring a lot, like a different vibe back to animation that you don't see a whole lot anymore unless the studio is being very distinct with the identity of their film or films. On the other hand, that lineup of films from the 90s was not great. And I don't know if it was just a lot of studio corporate shenanigans that hurt those films. And he's also really up there in age. I don't know how he's going to bring it back. Because it's not like 2D is dead. Maybe super traditional hand-drawn animation is dead, but people are still making 2D films. We're going to be talking about 3 or 4 of them.
Actually,
like today.
I have something to say about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll get to our review of Wolfwalkers in a minute, but talking about this story now is kind of the perfect segue into an interview that I saw on Collider's YouTube channel with the directors of Wolfwalker, Tom Moore and Russ.
Yeah. Let's see.
Ross Stewart.
Yeah.
They pretty much opened the interview talking about Don Bluth and how happy they were that he was, opening up the studio. And I believe some some former Don Bluth animators worked on Wolfwalkers. And even these guys themselves are like, they admitted they were heavily influenced by Bluth.
Well, Don Bluth had such a distinct identity when he started making his films, from like The Secret to Land Before Time, An American Tale, and All Dogs Go to Heaven. They are very different than what Disney was putting out at the time, or what little they put out at the time. And you really don't see designs like Don Bluth did anymore. He had more like wrinkles in the face, more like textures, and he was very different than what everyone else was doing. Like, you could look at a film of his and be like, even if you didn't like The Pebble and the Penguin and such,
you at least know that that's him.
Yes. And he of course kind of coined the whole, like, you can make an animated film as dark as you want as long as the ending is optimistic and happy. Which, considering his great films, that's like the one thing that connects them all. They are very dark films, at least for family films, but they always had like a happy ending to them. So, there's nothing that we can see yet from them and from his work. We'll just have to see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. I'm curious to see how they approach this. I wish they got a better logo if that was the official logo that went around Twitter with the rabbit holding one of those, like take one things. Like
Oh, the clapper.
Yeah. I wish they chose a better logo.
I'm sure they'll refine that in the future.
It's just very unfortunate looking. So, but unless there's other news that I'm missing out on, that covers our news cycle.
One more thing before we move on to.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I want to just give a shout out to some of the Emmy winners. First of all, we of course have to talk about the winner for outstanding individual achievement in animation. We had the nominees for Archer, Cosmos, Possible Worlds, and Genndy Karatovsky's Primal.
Didn't Primal win?
Yep.
Yeah, not shocked about that.
Yeah.
Maya Rudolph won for her performance in Big Mouth, which, hey, that's good for her. She's super talented and she's great in that show.
Yeah, I'm happy for that.
What any other winners, or was that really? Well, I know Rick and Morty won for the Vat of Acid episode.
Yep, obviously they won for that pretty amazing 5-minute silent film section.
Yeah, that whatever you have to say about the rest of the episode and how nihilistic it got at the end, that was very impressive. That they went as long as they did through very limited dialogue or no dialogue. So,
the other standout story is that Pixar won their first Emmy with Forky Asks a Question. They won for best animated short film.
I can see that. I can see that.
The specific one is
What is Love?
What is Love?
Oh yeah, that was probably one of the last things we saw Carl Reiner in, because he was in that with Mel Brooks.
Yeah, he was Carl Rhinoceros.
Yeah. Oh, rest in peace, Carl Reiner. Any other winners, or is that really it?
That's really it for animation.
Alrighty. I guess we should just get the worst thing on our table out of the way first.
Yeah, starting with a short film that I did watch, but at the time just was not feeling. I just did not have enough to say in a quick thoughts review.
I did, and I can post it to the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group if anybody wants to see. So, we're going to talk about a short film called Happy Go Lucky Days. And we saw this at the Asian Pop-Up Cinema Film, which was online. And it was the one animation offering of that festival. And it's a short film with 3 stories. And it's based off of a slightly mature, not fully erotic, but somewhat erotic manga. And the 3 stories are, the first one is about these 2 women who end up going to the same marriage of their ex-girlfriend. They happen to date the same woman back in high school or college or whatever. And the 2 women end up bonding and hooking up. The second story is about a young male teacher who ends up on the awkward side of a confession when a senior student comes up to him and confesses his love. And I'm going to wait to talk about the third one because, as we have agreed on, along with our pal Ruben on his review of it on CBR.com, I don't think we have seen a film or just a piece of anime go from pretty good to just falling through the floor into the pits of hell as fast as Happy Go Lucky Days.
I told Ruben in the comment section of his review that this is pretty much the sharpest decline in quality I've seen in pretty much anything that I've seen this year, let alone ever.
Yeah, because at least say what you will about Hoops, it's still the worst animated show of 2020. But at least it stayed pretty consistently terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it was like bad from the start and bad to the end. This is more frustrating because this started out with a really good little cute story. And I love the whole punchline at the end when the two women were like, oh yeah, she was kind of a jerk. But hey, I hooked up with you. So, you know.
That was nice. It was nice
Yeah,
that
it was
they
super cute. They probably should have made that the whole film.
I certainly would have preferred that.
Same. Because the second story, while not as bad as the third story,
It's just it was
it's
kind of nothing for me.
it's awkward because, you know, we don't look highly upon student teacher relationships well, and that's not okay at all, even if the teacher looked young. But he did reject the boy. So, and it was just more of him just kind of dealing with being on the other side of like one-sided love. So at least there was a interesting perspective, despite how ick it could be. The third story,
Oh boy.
yeah. So this third story is about these two middle schoolers who, it mostly focuses on the boy who has a cousin who ended up doing a porn film, and he ended up watching it. And this whole story is about sexual awakening. And no, it's not going into a Lannister situation. It's thank goodness. Because anime sure loves to deal with incest stories.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a few sequences in the story where the cousin who did the film did some very, very inappropriate things and made some very inappropriate comments. And it just shot the last story into the ground, into a grave, fully furnished coffin, and the dirt dug itself back over the coffin. Like, on one hand, all this story had to be was like a sexual awakening between the boy and the girl. If you somehow took out the whole cousin doing very not okay things, or at least changed the approach of that, like the girl, like he got a porn film, and the girl was like a you know, like an imaginary, kind of like the like Ratatouille with the chef kind of thing.
I could see that.
Like and explore and just like kept it as that. It wouldn't have been great, but at least it wouldn't have been what happened in the actual story. And what is a problem with this is that it's the last story, and it's the story that gets the most runtime. This thing isn't even 45 minutes long. It's probably 30 minutes long. And, or maybe 40. Yeah, 40. It doesn't even reach the supposed rule of feature length being 45 minutes.
That might be part of the reason why I didn't even write a review for it. Cause I'm like, this barely even counts as a film.
Yeah, it's really disappointing because a film can be made, and a film should be able to talk about like love and sex and identity through those topics in a respectful way. But Japan, or at least anime, just keeps coming up with some of these stories, and they keep doing these gags that they think is funny when it's more groan inducing. It's like it's not appealing. And it's a shame.
To be fair, we are two white guys talking about a completely different culture, but still, all things being equal, I don't think that should be okay anywhere.
Yeah, we're going to be vague about it. If you want to know what happens, read the reviews of it, or read Ruben's review. I'm not going to do a review of this for my website. it's just like, it's not okay what happened in the third story, and I wish they tackled that differently. And I'd like to say maybe avoid it, but I don't think there's going to be a way to see it now.
It will be released October 23rd.
I don't know why. Like, is it getting a theatrical release? Because that doesn't make sense. Who's going to go to a movie theater for 45 minutes?
It doesn't say anything specific. It just says that's the release date.
Okay. And I highly doubt we're going to get a super official U.S. release of this film.
Oh, definitely not.
The
U.S. wants nothing to do with this.
And I think what's also maybe we're more critical of this because it was the only animated film on offering. Not Love Me, Love Me Not Words That Bubble Up Like Cider. It was this film. Nothing else. No, like, Angakuar sound or the new Lupin the Third film. It's like, when you're the only one there, you got to be pretty amazing. And I don't know how that one got chosen. Maybe it was a legal situation, and maybe the other films had more, like, were maybe a little more expensive because they had more widespread appeal. Maybe. But I'm not okay with that one being the only animated offering. But I think we're done. It starts great, ends badly. If you do somehow find a legal way of seeing it, you can bail after the first short. We grant you permission. Yes. Or just be ready to sit down and cringe if you decide to sit through the other two. But now we get that out of the way, and we move on to something slightly better, but not really. Or at least it's frustrating in an entirely different way. And we're talking about Dragon's Dogma on Netflix. So, Mike, do you have any familiarity with the game the anime is based on? None whatsoever. I think the extent of my knowledge is that it's a Capcom title. It's from the director of Devil May Cry 2. Yeah, it was a action RPG that was released back in 2012. And its main marketing standpoint was that it was a European fantasy setting. But instead of having like a traditional MMO or computer RPG style combat system, they basically based it off of Devil May Cry and God of War, just super action-oriented combats. And you could also, and you like mostly fight the traditional goblins, skeletons, zombies, but you would be able to fight giant monsters like cyclopses, chimeras, cockroaches, griffins, smaller dragons, lich kings, and like hydras and the dragon in question. And the gimmick was you could climb on top of them to attack them, kind of like how you could in Shadow of the Colossus, but not as puzzle-centric as those fights were. And it grew a small fan base. It sold over 1 million copies at first. Wasn't the best game of 2012, but it stuck around because of its premise and gameplay. And also that you could make your own character and such. So, I'm sure it was a challenge to adapt this into a anime because then you take out the gameplay aspect and you are left with the story. So I guess let's talk about the story before we dive into it more. So we follow a young man, or at least like slightly older male lead character named Ethan, the most heroic of male lead names. No, Ethan's a great name. I'm just joking around. He lives in a fishing village with his wife and looks after a young kid whose parents died. And everyone's living pretty peacefully. You know, no big deal. There hasn't been a dragon sighting in 100 years. And, you know, when you say that, guess what shows up? Yep. This huge dragon comes out of the sky and wrecks this fishing village, kills the kid, scorches the wife down to a crisp, who was also pregnant with Ethan's kid, by the way, so yay. And Ethan tries to kill the dragon but fails. But the dragon says it's like, huh, neat, you wanted to attack me. I like you. I'm going to take your heart so you can not die, and you're going to have to come at me when you are stronger to kill me. Bye. Flies off. So Ethan goes on this journey by what is called a pawn, a human-looking individual who is not, like I said, they're not really human. They're more like artificial servants that just happen to look human.
Think of it more like a guardian angel, but without the wings.
And can use a bow and arrow and magic. And they go off on their journey through 7 episodes to go and take down the dragon and encounter some reoccurring characters and giant monsters that get in their way. So, one of the biggest problems with the original Dragon's Dogma was the story. It was super generic outside of the base premise and the world. A lot of the story-important lore only came at the end of the game, and that's really it. Everything else was very generic, cookie cutter. So the story in the anime series goes at an approach of the 7 deadly sins, with each episode being based off one of those sins. Yep. And they encounter a town or some characters that represent those sins, and it's a big old commentary about the human race and how they kind of suck. So, what did you think about the series just in general before we kind of go into the pros and cons?
In general, I thought it was at least semi-interesting. It's look, when it comes to like fantasy epics, it's a pretty easy lay for me. Like you have to be like actively trying to be awful to get me to hate you. And if this was a little bit more traditionally animated, like in the style more of like a Castlevania,
yeah,
as opposed to like this weird
CGI look.
Yeah, I wonder if this is the same studio who did the Berserk reboot, because I remember you complaining about Berserk. The CG in that series.
Yeah, that show. Yeah, luckily it was not them, but this was by a studio called Sublimation. I think that's how you say their studio name.
Oh yeah,
this was their first. Yeah, this was their first foray into a full CGI series, and I think in general the humans look okay. Like I think they're pretty expressive.
The monsters though, they stick out like a sore thumb.
The monsters do not look good. They have very weak textures, and their animation is obviously the clunkiest out of all of the characters and animation there. And it's a shame because some of those designs are iconic. I love the Cyclops design, and I love the take on the Hydra. I'm a little mad that they didn't do the Chimera, because that's like the literal first boss of the game that you fight. And it's such a cool design with like the big lion body with a goat head sticking out of the back, and then the tail's the snake. And, you know, this is a problem when you adapt a video game into a movie, a TV show, and whatever. You're taking the gameplay out. So that means you have to replace it with a really good story, or at least a captivating enough story. And if you're like an action show, really good action. Not a lot of the action that the game is known for is not executed like that in the anime. It's very boilerplate fantasy action, and that's not okay to me. Like, I got a little more frustrated as the show went on with how it handled its action.
Almost seemed a bit too repetitive.
Yes, and so it so it just like it wasn't all that satisfying in terms of like when they take down the Cyclops. It's like stab you in the eye, it's all dead, and it's like okay, that's fine, I guess. They don't even kill the Griffin in the third episode. The Griffin's just like, oh, okay, I screw this. I'm not going to eat you guys. You guys are too much trouble. And then the Lich King is basically killed in the first half of the episode it shows up in. And the only one I would say that has a satisfying fight is the Hydra. But even then, like, to be clear, this is not like as bad as Gibiate. That show is so much worse with its action that it's insulting. It makes Dragon's Dogma's action look like the God of High School action. And so that kind of leaves us with the story beat from each episode. Like the first one is Wrath, which is how Ethan ends up as the chosen Arisen. Then there's Gluttony, which they have to deal with a piggish governor. And the dialogue's not great. It's a little too heavy-handed. It's not subtle.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of hated the ending because I wanted the Cyclops to eat the governor.
Man, that would have been so much better than
It would have been like it wouldn't have been subtle, but it would have been like fitting. Instead, he's just like, Ethan's like, I'll let the townsfolk choose your fate. And he gets killed, like pelted with rocks. And then Ethan's like, oh my god, humanity, what have I done? Why didn't I? Oh my gosh, I'm crying. And it's like, these people have been screwed over by the Baron of that town. What did you think was going to happen, Ethan? Like, I get it. It's this juxtaposed of Ethan has more optimism for the human race, while the human race is garbage. But then we get to the third episode, the one with the biggest content warning out of any other episode. Yeah, go ahead.
This is the episode where, if I wasn't reviewing this series, I would have noped. I would have noped after what I saw.
Just yeeted yourself out of there. Just like, yeah, no, bye. I'm just going to watch Dorohedoro instead. Sorry, I love that anime.
It's so good and so better than
anything in this show.
Like,
well, okay, well, let's talk about this episode. So, content warning, there is almost attempted rape in this episode. So, if you do want to watch this show, you can skip this episode. It has some story importance because you meet two characters you meet later on in the Greed episode, but that doesn't justify the fact that this show decided to be tasteless. So Ethan and the pawn Hannah encounter these two royal guards guarding these young couple from a ambush of goblins. And the goblins apparently liked watching Goblin Slayer because they take her off the horse and almost, do the deed. But then she's saved by Ethan and Hannah while her chump of a boyfriend or husband is a coward. And then later on they encounter a griffin and then fight it off. The griffin flies off. And they almost get attacked by another group of goblins, but the husband protects him and the woman from the goblins. And then decides to stab her.
Yeah, that's when I messaged Cameron saying,
like, what the heck?
Yeah, like
WTF.
WTF, bro.
Yeah. And then it says and then everyone calls out the husband like, dude, she just wanted you to be brave. And then he's like, oh my god, really? Well, now she's gone and I'm going to... he commits suicide. So I'm not going to make a joke about that. He commits suicide. It's a very weak Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. But golly, this show sounds like it was written by some super angry white guys. And I'm sorry, this is an incredibly sexist show.
Oh, it is super sexist.
You better be a sex icon, a succubus, or a nag, or a mom, because that's all you get. Even Hannah is as interesting as a plate of bread.
Like, the most interesting things about Hannah are her combat skills.
And it's like she becomes more human, even though that kind of contradicts the whole idea of a pawn when they're not supposed to get emotional. So, and then it's like the rest of the episodes follow, like you said, they follow like Sloth and then Greed, where you encounter the two royal knights, and one of them gets money hungry after they beat the Lich King, who is hoarding all this money. And can I just talk about the scaling of actions, set pieces? Because I feel like once you go from Dragon to Cyclops to Griffin to Hydra to Lich, and then go down to Succubus,
It's hard to close Pandora's box after like the third or fourth episode.
it is, and I'm so annoyed with it because the stakes seem to keep kind of going inconsistent. And like of course the lust episode is when Ethan almost gets killed by a succubus, but then chokes it to death, snaps its neck. You know, because female characters weren't already screwed over enough in this show. And then the ending happens. And I'm just going to say this. I did not like the ending. It was some Go Nagai, Genocyber, Devilman level. Humanity is terrible. There's nothing to save it. Baloney. Just... but what did you think about the ending? Or, like, do you have any other thoughts before we dive into the ending?
I would just rather talk about the ending, because the ending was weird and very, very pessimistic.
Okay, so they finally find the dragon. They fight him, they kill him, and then the dragon decides to pull a, like, yo, you think I'm all evil? I'm just going off of my instincts. I'm just a dragon. And I'm just doing it because I'm an animal. I don't mean to be evil. It's just my instincts. And then it's like, well, you killed me, congrats, but now you're going to become a dragon. And the whole cycle of misery, cynicism, and the human race being just dirt is going to go again. And instead of the game ending where the main hero actually kills himself so the cycle stops, it goes through with it. Ethan turns into a dragon, the same dragon, which they probably just reused the same CGI model for.
Oh, there's like zero difference.
Except for, like, he has a tiny bit of humanity where he tells the pawn, who is probably not going to care about who he is, because that's the thing with pawns. They were expendable in the game. You could swap them out for whatever you needed for the next quest. And it's like, the ending is just like, it sucks because Ethan is now a dragon. And he's going to do the same stuff that the other dragon did. But to try to have a silver lining, they're like, Hannah, please protect the humans from me. Because even though you didn't kill the dragon, I'm going to lay everything on you. And Ethan just flies off. I don't like the ending.
I wish they would have just killed him off.
Yes. It's too cynical.
What's the point of keeping him alive? Or is it so they can introduce a new Arisen? So they can, like, do the same dance every couple years?
I don't know what the plan. I don't know what the point is, and there's a right way to do, like, a dark ending with some optimism, as much as I wasn't a fan of Devilman Crybaby, just because there was very little difference in how this Devilman story told the original Devilman story. Like, there's not a whole lot of difference. But at least at the end, the bad guy realizes that he killed his best friend and the human race. It basically causes the whole universe to restart because he realizes that, like, his actions cost him the thing that meant the most to him. And so there's a right way of doing this. Or like Japan sinks. Yes, Japan sunk. Almost all the main characters died. But that ending justifies every single dark thing that happens in that story. So, as much as we're ragging on it, I don't think this is the worst anime of the year, or of what I've seen. I think it's at best mostly forgettable.
It's a show I can comfortably recommend if you did enjoy Castlevania. It's just it's if you have any familiarity with the game or just this genre, then fine, go check it out. It's on Netflix. You don't have to pay like extra to watch it. Just make up your own mind, but be mindful that this is very, very not for kids and very, very cynical,
problematic at points. So
very.
Yeah, I'm more disappointed by it because I was kind of excited for it, and I love Dragon's Dogma. I just I wish this was better.
It should have been better.
I expect more from Netflix and their anime productions.
Yeah, because they've had some really good anime this year alone, and we'll get to one of them.
Yes. Before we do, we must go back to Jurassic Park, or in this case, Jurassic World. So we're going to talk next about Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. Now, I think everyone's a little shocked that this show exists, only because it took them this long for Jurassic Park to finally have an animated series.
Funny story about that.
Shoot.
Apparently, like, there was going to be a Jurassic Park series in the 90s that I guess just never really came together. Like,
yeah, I saw the photos of it.
Yeah, there's some photos circulating, but maybe it's because Spielberg was busy at the time.
Because this was 1993, so that means like Animaniacs would have been out by that point.
Yeah, Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, Pinky and the Brain.
Maybe Freakazoid a year or two later.
Yeah, he had his hands full in the 90s.
Oh yeah, he had no trouble finding work. And I think there's kind of a challenge to making a Jurassic Park cartoon series. Because as much as Jurassic Park is like a good gateway horror film for like younger audiences, because it's, dinosaurs and the violence and scares are pretty tame overall, people are still dying. Like getting eaten and such. So I was a little shocked it took this long, and I'm curious as to why DreamWorks was put onto this topic, because I know they're owned by Universal, and Universal owns the rights to Jurassic Park. But so I guess let's start with the plot, I guess. This show takes place before, during, and after Jurassic World. And it's about a group of kids who go to they are part of a test run for a summer camp on the island where Jurassic World takes place. And of course, since this takes place during that movie, everything hits the fan, and the kids have to get off the island. Before we dive into specifics, what do you think overall about the show?
I think overall I had fun with this group of characters. The worst thing I can say about it is the animation is kind of subpar, and I don't blame DreamWorks Animation. I think this was the note that they were given. It would have been cooler if it was either like 2D animation, or they got the guys who did the Godzilla series or Men in Black from like the early 2000s, and they had that really cool stylized.
Like Fox Kids at the time had like a slew of pretty good action shows based off of properties like Men in Black, and Godzilla, which redeems the awful '98 Godzilla, and one of my personal favorites, The Big Guy and Rusty. And I think in general, this show had a really bad first impression, and probably one of the sharpest cases of whiplash in tone.
I know exactly the moment that that whiplash happens.
It's like for the first 4 episodes, it plays out like what you would expect a Jurassic Park summer camp from, like, if this was made in the 90s would happen. These kids get into trouble, and dinosaurs are involved. And then about halfway through, when the Jurassic World plot kicks in, it becomes a family-friendly version of Japan Sinks. To put it lightly.
That's a fascinating comparison, but it's also not wrong.
Because then it's like these kids have to try to get off the island, and they're getting chased left and right by dinosaurs. What is the main dinosaur villain of the Jurassic World? The
Indominus Rex?
Yeah, the Indominus Rex and and then another carnivore dinosaur that they nicknamed Toro, because it's that one with the horns.
It's a Carnotaurus.
Yes. And I think the first bad impression comes off of the fact that this show's character designs are really bland. These characters look like stock assets. Because you have our main character, Darius Bowman. Paul McKell-Williams is the kid who plays him. A camper who's like a dinosaur fanatic and wanted to go to Jurassic Park with his dad for a long time. Then you have a Ben Pincus, a sensitive and bookish camper, who's kind of like the nerd character who just doesn't like anything. He's a worse Shaggy in a way.
Voiced by Yumulek from Solar Opposites.
Yeah, Sean Giambrone, which is really amusing to me, especially if you've seen Solar Opposites. It's a solar opposite of characters. Oh no! Well, sorry, that was my attempt at a bad joke, at a dad joke, because it's the solar opposite of who he plays in both shows. Then we have Yasmina Yazfadula, a introverted, athletic individual who's played by the same actress who played Abigail in The Great Pretender.
Ooh. And
then we have the token social media YouTuber Brooklyn, who's popular with vlog and streaming, and of course has pink hair, because no social media influencer can go without being one without dyeing their hair color. Maybe this is just my old man side coming out, because it's just kind of silly to me. And then we have Kenji Kon, who is played by Ryan Potter, who is, you know him as Hero from Big Hero 6.
Or Beast Boy from Titans.
Oh, that's him? Awesome. Yep. Good on him. A self-appointed VIP camper whose dad apparently is like one of the big wigs at the park, but you aren't told who he is specifically. And he's the self-proclaimed alpha male. Alpha males don't exist. That term was brought upon by the zoologist who studied wolves and then realized, oh wait, this is all baloney. And then our last camper, Sammy Gutierrez, who's played by Rainey Rodriguez, who was a Disney Channel star, who's supposedly her parents owned a farm that provided the meat for Jurassic World. And they are accompanied by Jamila Jamil as Roxy, the co-camp counselor, along with Glenn Powell as Dave, the other camp counselor. First of all, cool casting there. I like Glenn Powell. If you've seen Scream Queens, he plays Chad, a delightfully stupid college guy. And I'll have to tell you more about him after the podcast, because that show, at least that first season, is super funny. And then we are since this takes place during Jurassic World, we do run into one main character, Dr. Henry Wu, who's not played by...
Yeah, but not voiced by B.D. Wong.
No, he's played by Greg Chun, who is Ethan in Dragon's Dogma. I swear, Michael, I'm telling you this, get an agent who is inside the web of Netflix. You show up everywhere.
Yep.
And then, of course, you see cameos of, Mr. DNA, because you have to have Mr. DNA. He's the best character of the Jurassic Park franchise.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Voiced by Jeff Bergman. So, does a good job. And then you meet a bunch of side characters, like James Arnold Taylor as this one scientist who gets eaten by the Indominus Rex.
And on his birthday, no less.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Here's your present, getting eaten.
Yeah, it's what I always wanted. Not literally. But, yeah. Halfway through, the Indominus Rex enters the scene and becomes mostly the main antagonist.
I would argue Toro is more of their...
Oh, yeah, like for a little bit, because, of course, the Indominus has to stay within the realm of of Jurassic World. So he can't be in the movie for long. So, yeah, Toro ends up being the main antagonist throughout the series, along with the encounter with that big ocean dinosaur, the swimming one.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah, the Mosasaurus.
Yes. And then the pterodons make an appearance after the whole pterodon bird dome breaks. I think this show taking place before, during, and after Jurassic World is kind of weird. Because now I'm not going to be able to go back to Jurassic World without thinking
about these kids.
Yeah, having their own side adventure. And they do tie it into the movie. Like, there's a scene where Roxy opens up a cabinet full of walkie-talkies that all go red when the Velociraptors eat all the SWAT team members.
Oh, yep.
And then you see the incident from their level, from the kids' level, of when the big CEO tries to shoot down the Indominus Rex with a chain gun in the helicopter, and then the helicopter crashes. Like, they make references to Chris Pratt and who was the actress? And Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
They make references to them, and you see somewhat of the incidences that connect the two, but they don't really tie in. And I don't know. What do you think? How do you think? Like, obviously, they're kind of trying to connect this show to the next movie of Fallen Kingdom and then Dominion, or whatever the third one is called.
I honestly have no problem with them trying to connect the shows to the movie. It's no different than like Star Wars Rebels and Resistance tying into the films, as long as the focus is on our main characters, that's really the most important thing.
It is, and to be fair, they actually do that. The characters at first are really annoying. Like, I hate it when people try to write social media influencers because there's
Because it comes off as very inauthentic.
yes, it's very like this is what a 40-year-old man thinks a social media influencer talks like or focuses on. And but I do give kudos to the show that they do actually flesh out the characters like quite a bit. And there are some intense sequences, um, especially with the Carnotaur and when the Mosasaurus, and of course when they encounter the Indominus Rex. Like there are some pretty intense sequences. They're not like on the level of the movie, so you won't see blood. You won't. They'll cut away from when anybody gets eaten or does the Sci-Fi Channel thing, where they'll hide behind something so they don't have to animate the person getting eaten. uh, which is what happens to like James Arnold Taylor's character and these two park employees that try to tell them to get away because of the Indominus Rex. I have mixed feelings of how they handle that. Kids who grew up on Jurassic Park know how violent these the movies can get. Like like Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, the main villain gets torn in half at the very end of the movie.
Yep.
And yes, the movies use cutaway sequences, like cuts when someone gets killed and such, but still, it was still graphic. And I do think it works that they took the approach of casting as wide of a net as possible for viewers of this show. Like, it's obviously slightly more intense than something for younger kids, but it's maybe a little too goofy at points, especially when they introduce an Ankylosaurus named Bumpy, who I actually kind of liked. I like Bumpy.
Bumpy is a good boy. Is a good girl or boy.
Yes. And at least this was made now, where in the 90s, I'm sure or the 80s, or no, 90s, they would have made Bumpy talk.
Yeah.
And
something I read on Wikipedia that's kind of fascinating, especially after hearing what you said about how characters were killed off screen.
yeah.
Spielberg did not want the series to be a kiddie version of the Jurassic Park films, insisting that the young characters be placed in dangerous scenarios as in the films. And to be fair, that is true. They are put in dangerous situations. Short of actually getting killed, they are on the run from everything.
Right. But do you think they could have gone further? Or without teetering on being an R-rated cartoon?
That's tough because the show is rated TVY7. So I think if they were going to take it as far as like the movies themselves,
Yeah, maybe like PG-13.
well, yeah, it would have to be like either PG or TV-14.
Like, do you think the overall tone works? Like, because to me, that was like the most jarring part is when everything just hit the fan, and now it becomes that survival story of them trying to escape.
I understand what you're saying about the kind of tonal whiplash, but at the same time, because it's a series, you need to give these characters room to we the audience needs to get to know these characters before you put them into all this danger. So, if the first couple episodes are going to be on the light side, then fine, whatever.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I guess to me, it's like I'm always looking for a show to keep pushing the envelope a little, just because we live in a post-Adventure Time, post-Steven Universe, and especially post-Infinity Train world. we literally saw someone in an Infinity Train disintegrate. And that's it's I guess to me it's just like I don't think this is as bad as like some of the other DreamWorks adaptations, like the Boss Baby one. But what do you think? Like, do you think it's fine with how mature they went, or do you think they could have maybe done more?
I think they maybe could have pushed a little bit more, but for the rating they were given, I think they got away with more than I was expecting for the rating.
Right.
But if you're going to exist in the Jurassic Park universe, you got to at least step up to PG.
I would go that far, PG at least. I mean, come on, one of the most iconic sequences in Jurassic Park is the T-Rex eating the lawyer off the toilet. Or like when who was the lead woman from the first Jurassic Park, the one who was in like Marriage Story and Little Women? Like Laura,
Dr. Sadler.
Yeah, Dr. Sadler and her actress,
Laura Dern.
Yeah, Laura Dern. She like when she turned on everything in the first movie, and then you think Samuel Jackson's arm comes through, and she's like, "Oh, thank goodness you're here," and she realizes that Samuel Jackson, it's just the arm left. I think they could have gone a little further with. I mean, I don't need to see blood splatter. I don't need to see like that one scientist who gets eaten by the Indominus Rex. I don't need to see his head fly over to the kids or anything like that. I do think they have some super effective, like, creepy moments and some very intense moments. I do think a lot of the tone, at least the darker tone, is kind of undone by the animation. Let's talk about that next.
The animation, I will say, is pretty definitively the weakest thing about this series, because I think
they needed more money. I think.
Yeah, they needed more money, or they needed to do something to help this series stand out above the crowd. Because I'm sorry, the characters, the design of the characters is just kind of boring.
They're boring and you look at like the teaser image, like promotional image for the show, the characters looked way different and I think a lot more interesting. But like I said, they look like stock assets, and the dinosaurs look fine, but their movements and the animation in general looks a little choppier than I was kind of hoping for. And like some individual animal movements look great, but since this is working on a TV Y7 budget, they of course couldn't do everything that they probably wanted to.
There's another DreamWorks series based off a Universal property that we haven't talked about yet, but we might when season 2 drops. It's the Fast and Furious Spy Racers.
Yeah,
I'm only bringing this up because both of these series have kind of the same problem in that their character designs are just kind of generic CG nothings.
Yeah, it's like they put all their money into everything else than the actual humans. But I forgot that series happened.
Honestly, same. I only looked it up because I was watching Camp Cretaceous.
Now, I did like the character dynamics of the kids. I think they got a little better. They mellowed them out a little more. And the twists and turns actually do make for some decent drama.
Yeah, like finding out that Sammy is a lying bitch.
Captain America language. But yeah, you find out that Sammy. Spoilers. You find out that Sammy is a spy sent there by. What was it called?
Manticore.
Manticore. At first I was thinking for some reason it was Chimera Corps, but now that's a little more boring. I'm bummed about that. To get dinosaur samples, and it's a little disappointing. Well, no, it's not disappointing. It's interesting to see how long that actually lasts throughout the show, because that revelation sticks around until basically the end of the first season, until they finally start warming up to her. And I like that they took the social media person and kind of brought out the darker side of being like a YouTuber and such. You're constantly on the go of getting constant satisfaction from strangers. And it makes kind of like for a hollow living, which, I mean, like, yes, I would love for our podcast to have like a huge wide audience, but it is like there's like a sadness to it, to Brooklyn, and I kind of felt like for Ben, who it's just like, you know what, I'm tired of being a coward. Let's go to a camp full of dinosaurs. And what do you think about his fate within the first season? Do you think, okay, spoilers, in the final episode, when they're on a train car, they are getting chased down by pterodons, and Ben almost slides out of the car at first, and then is saved by Darius. But then Darius, his grasp slips, and as far as you know, until the very end, Ben died. And maybe Bumpy did also when they all jumped off the train. What did you think about that? Because I was actually kind of shocked. Like, I was a
you were shocked that they killed him, that they killed him off, or that the reveal.
I was shocked when they at first, like, we thought that they killed him off.
I thought that the scene itself when they were grieving his loss, that was effective. I'm just now kind of curious why they revealed at the end that what we saw was not what actually happened.
Yeah, you see Bumpy go up to his body, and then you see his fingers twitch, and then the season ends. And by the way, the end of the season, I guess I was a little shocked, and I shouldn't have been shocked about the ending, where the kids actually don't get off the island. They're stuck there. That means that they're going to have to get off the island in the next season, or else that place is going to blow up.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because if they're going to make the show go through Fallen Kingdom, that island's going to blow up, or at least get covered in lava. So we'll have to see how they connect all that.
We're even just assuming that that this is going. I only assume that we're going to get more seasons of this series is because of the IP. Like Jurassic Park / Jurassic World is a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Yeah, I think we are, and if they're going to follow the movies, they have to follow Fallen Kingdom, or else they just make a alternative timeline to where the second season has them maybe getting off the island, or maybe meeting some humans who didn't make it off. I mean, I'm curious to see where they go.
Same.
I'll say this. So, while not perfect, I think in general I liked Camp Cretaceous, despite its bad first impression and weird tone shift halfway through. But in terms of like everything that I've seen this year, in terms of animation for adults and kids, I put this up in the above average category.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. This is nowhere near like my top 5 or top 10, but it's for what it is, a tie-in to a successful franchise, I think it's good. I think this is one I can comfortably recommend.
Yeah, same. And yeah, I'm curious to see what happens. And though, can I say how weird it is that we now have a Fast and Furious and Jurassic Park show, but they're not on Peacock?
I was gonna bring it up sooner because sure you could argue that these shows were in development before Peacock um was even an idea at Universal, um but yeah, it's weird that those shows aren't on the service. This one especially because it could really boost Peacock's subscriber count.
Oh, it absolutely could, because so far Peacock is not that impressive of a streaming service. And I know everyone's going to be like, I'm going to watch it for The Office. But you already have like a million ways to watch The Office. Why would you want to have Peacock and pay for that just to watch it adless? But whatever. Yeah, no, we'll have to see. I'm wondering if this is if Kippo ending on a third season is because of that, of like Peacock happening.
Ooh, that's a good question. I would love to to learn more about DreamWorks and Netflix's deal.
Yeah, but here's a fun fact about the show. One of the executive producers is Scott Creamer, who you would know as the Hitori manager in Glitch Tech.
Oh wow, that's him.
Yeah. So that's kind of a fun little connection there.
And I think he's also a producer on Cleopatra in Space.
That wouldn't be surprising to me. That guy's getting some good work out there. Now I think it's time to move into something a little more mellow. You know, we're adults here. Take some shrooms, and we got to talk about the Fungies on HBO Max.
This was nice. This was man, the Fungies. What a very unique show to come out in 2020.
Yeah, so this is a show by Stephen P. Neary, and it was originally meant for Cartoon Network, but I'm sure because of the buyouts and HBO Max needing content, they moved it to HBO Max. And it's about the Fungies, a group of sentient mushrooms in a prehistoric land, even though they all have very modern things like cars and like some kind of electricity and whatnot. But, you don't watch this kind of show for scientific accuracy.
Even though the main character claims to be a scientist.
Oh, yeah, especially that. No. So this is the second new original show. I guess if you're not counting Close Enough, since that one is more for adults. The second new original family series for HBO Max after Tig and Seek. And in general, I think this is the better of the two.
I agree.
Fungies, kind of like a retro throwback to like 80s cartoons, like the Hanna-Barbera time period, or like the Smurfs or Snorks.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the perfect way to describe this. It has the same kind of storytelling style of a Smurfs or the Snorks, but with a modern animation aesthetic.
Yeah, and dialogue.
Yeah, it's weird that this is a show that's coming out in 2020. But at the same time, it makes sense.
It does. It's a super delightful little throwback show. They even have like a super catchy theme song, which you don't really see a lot of cartoons these days have. It's usually like an instrumental opening or to something very quick, like in Camp Cretaceous. But it has a full on like, we are the Fungies, da 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 da, and it's like it's very much like, oh, this sounds like this was made as a like the toy came first kind of show. Like it's very much in the vein of like like He-Man, My Little Pony, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And but it has a very witty, dry sense of humor. Like it's nothing different compared to like everything, like most of Cartoon Network style shows.
Yeah,
Which for better or worse.
Like it feels exactly like it belongs on Cartoon Network.
But man, it's so laid back and funny and just delightful. It's easily something I needed after like watching Cuties and then watching that Happy Go Lucky Days and then watching Dragon's Dogma, where I was just like, oh, okay, like let's do the Fungies.
Yeah, but after watching like Aggretsuko, Camp Cretaceous, Dragon's Dogma, all in the same weekend, had like putting this on a lazy Sunday was just kind of exactly what I needed.
Yeah, no, I like the characters in this show. I like that we have a very scientific-driven main character. And I know that's not new, especially when we've had stuff like Big Hero 6 kind of say like, hey, science is cool. But I also like that everyone is like, you have your archetypes, like you have the popular girl who's of course the mayor's daughter, and you have the two kind of weak stomach, I guess, two characters like with Lemon and the other guy and his best friend.
Nevin.
Yeah, Nevin, who I'm just going to say right now, I think they are more than friends.
Yeah.
And I say that not as like anything snide or snarky. I think the show is very clear that they are a couple or an item, I guess, per se. Because if you listen to the theme song, like near the end, they do that like, if you're inclusive, intuitive, respectful, and kind, then you can be a Fungies too.
Yep.
And inclusive shows them hugging. I think there's nothing subtle about it.
Yeah, short of complete public display of affection, they're definitely a couple.
And I think, and they have like the most purest friendship. It's like any other show, like a worse show would make their friendship so annoying. But it's not. They're probably the most wholesome characters of the show.
They kind of remind me of like a pair of Jimmys from Ed and Eddie.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. That's a good comparison. And I like that they have a very likable single mom character. And at first I thought it was just like the Pascal was like the father or something, but he's a brother to Seth, the main character, which is, I don't know, that was kind of weird to me at first. I kind of had to get used to that. But I like that the mom's a doctor, and it's just like she loves her kids, and she has a very productive job as being the doctor of the Fungies. Do you have like a what do you like about the show?
I like the world. I like how all of the characters have something unique about them.
Right.
I like Seth because he's the scientist, and that usually it's kind of like how Tick and Seek like would often start an episode with him going, what do we got here? What do we got?
Yeah.
Like it starts with Seth like doing some sort of experiment.
And it gets out of hand.
Yep.
Yeah.
In terms of the story structure, this kind of reminds me of a more kid-friendly version of Close Enough, where
I can see that.
Like in terms of like how the events like escalate from something kind of mundane to everything is snowballing into chaos.
Oh, that's especially true. I like the ghost dinosaur episode where they basically pay a homage to Scooby-Doo and such, in like subtle and not subtle ways. And this show is funny. I think comparing it to Close Enough is very apt because it has a very close enough way of humor.
The humor kind of sneaks up on you. I'll admit, like, it took me a while for me to love the series. I think the first episode that I really said, "Oh my god, I love this," is okay, it's a couple of them. One of them was Man and His Mustache.
Yes.
where we see Seth becoming more respected as he, I guess, steals Pascal's mustache.
Yes.
Take Your Seth to Work Day.
Yeah.
I think that's like the kind of the one that really sealed the deal.
Yeah.
And then I think one of my personal favorites is Voyage of the Rushroom.
Oh, I love that. I like that episode. It didn't take me as long. I think it took me up until the episode 3, the Truffalo, to finally get the humor of what I was trying to do. But if I had to pick an episode I really love, I think it would have to be Ghosts Smosts, the Twins Bug Seth.
Ooh, I think that's another one of my favorites.
Yeah, where Seth has to follow his babysit his younger twins brother. I guess kids. They don't really give a gender identity to them.
They're just his siblings, which is smart.
Yeah.
It's kind of smart how as the theme song suggests, there's like this world is inclusive.
Yeah.
And feel like between that and Nevin and Lemon's friendship being clearly more than a friendship.
Yeah.
The more I'm thinking about it, I think the more of its time this show is kind of turning out to be.
Yeah, it's a way more progressive show than you would think, because you think like, oh, it's a show about mushrooms. And it's like, okay. But I think it got really creative with the mushrooms and the characters. Like, it was able to subtly do things that I think they would have had to work a little harder to if they weren't mushrooms. Like, if they had to make them something else and whatnot. Another episode I really like is Sir Tree's Body.
Yeah.
I mean, I like some of the episodes more than others, but I don't think I've seen an episode where I wasn't like, oh, that was actually kind of nice, or, oh, this is a funny episode. Especially like when you're introduced to Commander Beefy, this alien fungi.
Oh my god.
Who is like a super capitalist. And he's voiced by the current voice of Mickey Mouse himself right now.
Oh, that's who you're talking about.
Yeah. Because I could tell he had a very distinct voice, and I thought at first it was like Tom Kenny. But it's not. It's the same guy who does Mickey Mouse and Storkules.
Okay, so that's
Chris Diantopoulos or something.
Yeah.
And then another episode I loved that kind of flipped things around was the Fanciest Fungi.
Yep.
Where Seth ends up enjoying this pageant competition, even though he wants to warn everybody about this parasite that eats mushrooms. And then at the end, when they're like about to strike him down, the parasite's like, "Oh, hey, wait a minute, guys!" And then he turns out to be super friendly and likes playing volleyball, or fungi ball, as the show calls it. And then I like Snake It to the Limit, but mostly because Natasha Lyonne is the snake.
That's good casting.
Yeah, because she gets so much mileage out of her accent and her performance from Orange is the New Black. Because that's kind of who she is in a lot of her appearances in shows like this. She kind of plays up the Brooklyn accent a little, like a lot. And though if I had to pick my favorite episode, it would probably have to be New Pam in Town.
Oh, the dinosaur one, yeah.
Yes. So Pam, yeah.
Can I just say I just love the design of the dinosaur.
Yes. Well, which one? Pam, the Spinosaurus, or the mushrooms combining into a dinosaur?
Um, just everything,
Yes.
everything about. I was more referring to the dinosaur that's chasing Pam.
Oh yeah, the goofy looking Muppet looking Spinosaurus.
Yep.
And I think this is where a lot of the close enough dry humor comes into play, where Pam has some really dry deliveries of her words, like when she shows Seth how she eats bugs, and she's like, "Yeah, this is what I eat," and it's like, "Are they good?" No, but eats them anyways. Or like when she becomes like the Fungi Town's new taxi service, and she gets a new billboard after being super helpful with her fight or flight mindset. Like she would like some Fungi would ask her something, and then Pam would be like, "You should fight," and then they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I should fight for my carpentry skills," or like, "Flight, you're right, I should take up jogging." Or
I love how they repeat that, like
in a row with like the old lady, like Nevin's grandma.
You're right. I should take up jogging.
And then she throws her walker out of the car. And then when Pam gets this billboard, like Seth is like, "Man, Pam, this is great. What do you think?" I have I have nonstop dread of my face on a billboard that everyone can see. And it like zooms in on her face, the lighting gets ominous, and then it backs out and it's like, "Huh, that's nice, Pam." Or like when the Spinosaurus finally shows up, and Pam's like, "I gotta distract him and get him out of your town." And she's like, "Hey, Spinosaurus," and he's like, "Huh, what?" And she's like, I've heard some things about your mom." And then it takes like a split second for the Spinosaurus to like process all that, and then he gets super mad at her, even though it's like it's not a specific thing. It's just like, "I've heard some things about your mom," and that gets him instantly ticked off. They throw in lines like that all the time, like in the Ghost Smosh episode when they find that little light snail, and it's like, "And now we have this snail to light our way," and the snail goes like, "Now I have a purpose for living." Or like when they meet the spider in the cave, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I found this ball on the web. No, I played around with it."
Speaking of pop culture references, the episode Mermove Out
Yeah.
Is great for making fun of the Little Mermaid.
Oh.
and the under the sea, they're like under the sea parody.
Oh, it's so funny. And then it's like when you find out why they're constantly playing that song, it's so funny. Like, the show gets funnier the more you you rewatch it and such.
Yeah, I feel like I could rewatch a lot of these episodes. Just again, going back to our point that this is kind of a throwback. There has to be some continuity because Commander Beefy comes back in the garden episode. But
class garden.
But other than that, like these are all more or less standalone adventures.
Yeah, and but it's just so funny. And then the last episode for now, the class garden, where Seth gets into a pumpkin growing competition, and he at first denies the appeal of he's like, "No man, I want to use natural organic gardening to make these pumpkins grow." And when they aren't growing enough, he goes to Commander Beefy, who wanted to sell him some growth hormone chemicals. And Commander Beefy actually calls him out a little. It's like, wait, so you want this stuff? Weren't you, morally on this or something earlier? Like calls out his morality of it all, and it's like, no. And then like gives him a whole barrel, and then calls him out later when he says like, hey, like how did that growth stuff happen? Well, anyway, it's going to cost you $5,000. Bye. And then there are characters like Sir Tree, a tree stump, who has like a very like low southern drawl. And I love when like the pumpkins grow to be monsters, and then you see Sir Tree look down into the village when the pumpkins go on amok, and he's like, "Rise, my children."
Like Sir Tree ends up getting some of the best dialogue.
I think he's so funny, or it's like when he's talking about like how, yeah, he was once a seed and got nurtured by water and sunshine. And then when he's actually growing into the tree part, he's going through like excruciating pain as a seed. And, this is a show I needed because, of course, the week we are recording this, a lot happened, especially with the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Mm-hmm.
And morality is kind of down. And
so if you need to pick me up, just turn on HBO Max and watch. You don't even have to watch all of the episodes, though I recommend you do. But like, you can just pick them off at random. They're fun. They're breezy. It's exactly the kind of show that we need right now.
Yeah, just something low key, charming, helpful. Like I said, inclusive, intuitive, respectful, and kind. And you can be a Fungies too. I highly recommend it. This might be in my top 10 for the year. Like even top 5 if I think about it hard enough. But I have to see some other shows first.
Yeah, I haven't committed to a ranking yet, but this is up there in the top 10 at least.
Yeah, no, highly recommended. Give Stephen P. McNeary support and love. I tweeted about his show, and he ended up following me on Twitter. And I'm very excited about that. I think he made a charming show. I hope there's more of it. Please make sure there's more Fungies.
Yes, please.
Moving
on to the one I've been kind of chomping at the bit to discuss.
Yes.
We are going to talk about Aggretsuko.
Yes. So, if you're unfamiliar with this franchise, this is by the same people who made Hello Kitty. It's about a red panda girl named Retsuko, who's like a 25-year-old, like young adult, working as an accountant for a business, and she has like a terrible boss, a boss that has like a suck-up employee, and it's just she doesn't really have her life in order, and a lot of things get dumped on her because life kind of is tedious when you are a young adult and you're trying to work your way up into a good, like to find your path in life. So what she does to take out stress and anger at everything, she does death metal karaoke. Hence the title of the show, Aggretsuko.
Which is it's short for aggressive Retsuko.
Yeah. Now, I watched the first season back in 2018. Since you had to watch the whole series out, I only had to catch up on season 2 and 3. What did you think about the show?
I think this was a show that had me in mind, and not necessarily because of the animation style, though it is kind of fascinating learning that this is from the same company that created Hello Kitty, but that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
I honestly think this is one of the best anime to come out in the past decade. For those who don't know, I am a metalhead. Heavy metal is like my go-to genre. So you tell me that a series has a protagonist who, you know, takes out her aggression by singing death metal karaoke, and we'll get into the main plot of season 3 in a minute, but you know, getting to live out her dream of performing on stage in a kind of baby metal-esque group is just it's just perfect. And there's so much more going on in this series. It's very much a like a social satire of like, you know, like the workplace comedies. They get into, you know, romance, like inner work friendships, you know, the world outside of your day job, all of that stuff.
Yeah, this to me is Netflix's flagship anime. I know they have a lot, like Great Pretender, Beastars, BNA, Japan Sinks, Devilman Crybaby, and such.
Blue Exorcist is another one.
Yeah, but to me, Aggretsuko is their flagship title. It's the one that I think of when I think of Netflix anime. And it's definitely a workplace commentary, but it's also slightly specific. But what's smart about it is that it's definitely criticizing how Japan's workforce is really putting a lot of stress on young people, like in a lot of ways, just like work, marriage, relationships, and such. But I think anyone could watch this show and see a character or see a plot unfold where they can relate to it.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it too. Like, although the commentary is written specifically with Japan in mind, the themes are still so universal that anyone from any country who's like in this age group will find a character to latch onto.
And it's also just like, this is a very adult show. Like, I know we say that for like Close Enough and Great Pretender, but this is a real grounded show for a bunch of animals as the leads. And it's like, I guess like there's a disconnect to that for some people, but that's what I like about it. It's able to be quirky and goofy, but still hit a lot of really mature areas in like life and whatnot. Like even though like director Tone is a pretty lousy boss, being kind of a scumbag, putting like unneeded stress and harassment on Aggretsuko and her friends.
The fact that he's a pig may or may not be like on the nose satire.
What I like about him is that they do flesh him out more as time goes on. And he becomes like, he has some of the better lines in season 2 and 3. And one of my favorite, I think in the first season when he gets called out for his toxic workplace mentality. And he's like,
he comes in the next day with a complete 180 attitude.
Yeah, and then at the end he goes back to his old ways. And just that transition of like smiling gleefully, and then like his arms go over his face, and then his face is like rage inducing. But then in season 2 you actually meet his family, they
all pretty much sound like him.
Yeah, that's because his entire family is voiced by the same and him are voiced by the same person, Josh Petersdorf, who, if you also play Overwatch, he's what's his character's name?
Roadhog.
Yeah, Roadhog. So I think that's perfect casting. And when you see his family at this company festival, they are the funniest. It's like probably the funniest punchline of the show when you hear the two daughters go like, "Daddy, daddy, daddy! Oh my goodness!" Like they have like these super deep voices, and then it's just like then the mom, then the wife is like, "Dear, how you doing?" And it's like, "Oh my god, my family's here." Like this, the show, like I wouldn't call it like it's a dramedy, but I wouldn't really say it leans on the comedy. But when it does, it's really funny.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the thing. Like when the jokes hit, they hit bullseyes.
yeah, so it's great that they do that instead of like trying to constantly hit jokes. And I think everyone has seen like people like this. Like there's Finico, who's like a Finnick Fox, if I think that's what it's called, what they're called. Who is this kind of like she thinks she's higher, like high above everyone on her horse, but then she also falls into the same traps as everyone does. Like she thinks like, oh man, Retsuko, you shouldn't be doing this VR boyfriend stuff.
And
Then she falls into it, and she's like, "You need money to survive. The sexy unicorn needs more clothes." And or like they add a little more layer to characters like Sonoda, the little like the I guess deer girl, the one who's like, "Oh, I'm so cute and innocent," and can you play? And she like gets Ton to put her work onto everyone else because she's using her beauty and her cute personality, which turns out to be like a facade, because she's way smarter than she comes off as. Like this show does a good job of like taking the characters from season 1 and expanding on them. Like I think one of my favorite characters was Kabe, the hippo.
Oh my god, Kabe.
Yeah.
Kabe probably gets the biggest laughs because of her because of her animation, the way her like the way she just kind of bursts into the room and starts like, "Hey guys, what's going on here?"
Oh yeah, she's probably the most expressive character of the show. But then in season 2 and 3, they really make her like probably the most likable character in that company.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just love her approach, because season 2 kind of starts rough because, and Mike knows this, they are introduced to a new employee named Anai.
Oh yeah, I told Cameron this that that when I first met Anai,
you hated him.
I could not stand it. I could not stand him.
Anai was like, he's like this doe-eyed hopeful of like, man, I can't wait to work for you guys. I can't wait to make a career for myself. And then you find out he cannot take criticism, and he takes the criticism super personal. And it's like, you shouldn't have criticized me. I was offended. You better write an apology to me, personal apology to me, or else I will take this to the higher ups. And it does get, like, his mannerisms get annoying at first, but then it gets funny when you find out that Sonoda and Tone cannot take him down because they get the same creepy response back. And boy howdy, when his animation when Anai is being creepy, it is so off-putting. It's so disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they mix him up with Kabe, it's like, it's touching.
Yeah.
And he does mellow out.
I think pairing him with Kabe was really smart. Because for some reason, like for some reason, like while everyone else is like struggling with how to deal with this guy, Kabe just kind of finds the right approach.
Because she's like a mom, like she deals with it because she has like 3 kids and a very loving husband, and it's just like it's like how, like everyone else is like, Tone is not super happy with his marriage. Everyone else is too young or single to know how to handle Anai, but then she comes at it as like a mom, and it makes Anai like chill out first off, and then he's like more just kind of optimistic, maybe a little blunt, kind of like Dax from Guardians of the Galaxy, or Drax, sorry.
Yeah.
Um, but I just like the character dynamics because at first, like, Retsuko seems kind of alone with her two friends, Finako and Haida. Who, fun fact, if Haida's voice sounds familiar, that's because Benjamin Diskin is the same voice actor for number 1 and number 2 from Kids Next Door.
Oh my god, that makes so much sense.
And I mean, overall, this show has a good voice cast. With Erica Mendez as Retsuko and Jameson Boaz as Retsuko's death metal voice. Caitlin Galt as Finako, Josh Petersdorf as Tone, Tara Platt as Washimi. I forgot what the bird of prey is of her, and then you have like G.K. Bose as Gory.
Yeah, she voices Gory and Sonoda.
Yeah. Deborah Cardona, who plays Subone, who's the Komodo dragon woman, who's also just terrible. Misty Lee plays Kabe. Then you got Allegra Clark, who's Puko, the Pink Panther. Kind of slacker. How would you describe Puko? Because she's like kind of a slacker. But she also is like, she wants to be like she's like an import seller.
I would call her a millennial.
Yeah, pretty much. Todd Habercorn as Komiya, the Tone suck-up employee. And then you got like Jameson Price as the CEO. And then in like season 2, we're introduced to characters like Retsuko's mom, who's played by Caitlin Robrock, and Griffin Burns, who plays Tadano, the young upstart tech donkey.
by the way, is it just me, or does Tadano's character remind you of like a lot of the My Little Pony character designs?
I can see that. His character is very much in that vein because he has a more vibrant color palette than everyone else. It has like this very soft, maybe like Easter Peeps purple, and kind of a grayish blue hair style. And let's see. Then you also have you'll like this. Anai is voiced by Billy Kametz, who is well, I don't know if you've seen Promare yet, but he's the main character as Gallo. And he's done a bunch of other things. Like he's in Beastars. He's Risu from Dorohedoro. He's the guy that they brought back because he was the only one who knew Kaiman before he turned into a lizard.
Oh, that's right.
And he's in like other things too, but that's how you like most people will probably recognize him. And I have to, and then like let's see. And then if you are like around the internet or know about YouTube voice actors, Sung Won Cho plays Hyodo, a cheetah businessman who also runs a pop girl or a pop idol group. And then you have Abby Trott as Inui, this dog girl that Haida sort of hooks up with. And then you got like Deva Marie Gregory, Xanthi Hyun, and then like Christine Marina Cabanas, who play the pop idols. And then of course you get like Gideon Emery as Seiya, the VR boyfriend.
The cast here is just incredible.
Yeah, and see, like, I would call season 1 a tech demo of sorts. Season 2 is about love and relationships. And it's mostly because Retsuko's mom is trying to quickly force her into like arranged dates so she can get married and such. And unfortunately, there's like a very unfortunate cultural thing in Japan where it's like you're called like old cake if you turn 30 and you haven't found a husband yet. Which, screw you. That kind of thing. And it goes into like I think this is when the show really kicks off. Like in terms of its storylines about like more grown up storylines about like ideals about like relationships and but what do you think?
I think I agree that like season 1 took me to about episode 3 or 4 till I really started like by episode 4 of season 1, that's when I was like, I confirmed that this was going to be a favorite show of mine. I still really liked the first 3.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard Retsuko's first like
death metal
growl, that's when I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you're hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Season 2 is when you know the show becomes. Season 2 is when like the show really finds its footing. But season 3 is where things take a dark turn.
Yeah, so season 3 it ends up to go in depth, like with very little money, and she's trying to get her way out of it. And she accidentally encounters Sungwon Cho's Hyodo. And at first, she accidentally backs a rental car into his van. And at first, you think like he's like, I'm not super upset about it for some reason. And then you find out that like, okay, how are you going to come up with the money for this? And he ends up recruiting Retsuko to be his accountant. And you find out that instead of him being like a Yakuza boss or a super high-paying accountant or businessman, he runs a pop idol group. And a pop idol group that's not doing super well. And then the show goes into like identity and just kind of like, it's about really like, how does a young adult see their life? I mean, that's how I approached it.
Yeah, like I am 27 years old, turning 28 next month, and this season hit me the hardest because we're following Retsuko, kind of living a dual life. She has her day job, but she's clearly putting more focus on her side hustle, and just that's I don't want to get too personal, but
go as deep as you want to. Just, this isn't like a true story confessions kind of thing. But
well, let's just say that I can kind of relate to, you know, the struggles of, you know, of like why we're doing what we're doing, you know, the necessity to have a steady paying job versus following your dreams to do something that you really want to do. And
yeah.
I think this season does a great job of really capturing that struggle. And also, you know, they dive more into relationships.
Yeah, and I maybe like one nitpick some people will have is that Haida's like, won't he finally confess his love to Retsuko? Story arc for the first 2 seasons is a little annoying because then he doesn't really do much else. But then in the third season, he meets another employee from a different part of the company, and kind of hits it off with her. And it's just, and he's told by Finico, like, you got to know what you want, because you can't just go through life being with Inui but still want Ritsuko. And I mean, like, it definitely like gives him a much better arc than
it does.
And it's like, what did you think about the ending? Because the ending was like, finally, like, Retsuko leaves the pop group, but mostly because she almost gets killed by a super toxic stalker fan.
Yeah,
and
see,
then
that's another thing where, like, where things get like things go really dark.
Yeah, that whole sequence in either the second or the final episode was a lot. Because there are fans like that, and while I've thankfully never encountered anyone with that kind of mindset, when I used to write game reviews for a website, there was always this one person who who talked like him, had those mannerisms, and then, like, we finally banned him from the site, and apparently he left like a farewell message to everyone. He had like special distinct messages for all the writers for the site.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? He could have just been a troll. It didn't mean any of it, but there are people like that.
Yeah, you never know, like, which variety of troll you're going to encounter.
Like, are they just like because they have nothing better to do and they're pathetic, or are they, as Fargo season 2 would put it, off? And then this is where I saw a little bit of like polarizing results, because then it's like
you're talking about the ending, aren't you?
Yeah, the ending where Haida and Retsuko finally have a talk and a karaoke off with one another, and it's like Retsuko does call out the hypocrisy of Haida, and then Haida is just like, well, yeah, well, you know what? We'll go through this together, even though like Retsuko was mostly in the right in that argument.
She totally was.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, because like at first, like on base values, I think the ending is quite touching, because it is like, hey, you know what? Whatever happens, I'll be there for you. Like, I'll actually be there for you. But it is this like a guy trying to be. I mean, that's kind of the point. The guy, like Haida, was trying to be the like the bigger person, while acting like Retsuko is not trying to, find her way in life also. But I like the ending.
Yeah, the ending is extremely satisfying for both of them, really.
Yeah.
Like, I think they both get the closure that they need. And even though it's going to be a while until these two get together, and from what I gather, it's way too obvious that Haida and Retsuko are endgame.
Yeah.
But I like how that's not how the season ends. How they actually have to work on their relationship.
Yeah, they're not just instant boyfriend girlfriend kind of thing, and which is way too easy to do. Like, sorry to bring up a whisker away, but that's, the exact wrong way to go about.
Oh yeah. Going back to that, remember how, like, we talked about how like our biggest problem with the whisker away was that characters weren't doing enough to call out stalker behavior.
Yeah, and then
they have a scene like with Haida and Goldie kind of saying exactly that. Like, this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, and at the end, Whisker Away, they're boyfriend and girlfriend, even though there's no closure or like, hey, you could have just talked to me instead of stalking me and punking me and all that stuff. Like, Haida and Retsuko, yeah, they're not a couple. They're like, hey, we're not the official boyfriend and girlfriend yet. We're going to work our way up to that point. And when we're both comfortable. And I think that was a good way to close the season. I hope this isn't the last season. I think there needs to be at least one more.
There probably will be one more. Just going off the release pattern of these seasons so far. I don't think we need to hear like an announcement anytime soon. I'd wait till at least like I don't know. I'd wait at least like a month or two before we hear news of a fourth season.
Yeah. But before we go on to Wolfwalkers, I just want to say this show has some of the most relatable small moments in time. Because I've been to a store and I was hassled almost every single minute of trying to find something. And they're like, just take your time. Just take your time. Just take your time. And I love that moment where Aggretsuko is just like, will you just let me take my time already? Or like when it's like, man, it's a new day. I'm out of college. I got an accounting job. Everything's going to be great. And then she twists her ankle. And that's when you first get a taste of the death metal side of her. And I just think that's super relatable because unless you've twisted your ankle, that hurts like Hades. It is painful. It is not fun because you're thinking about all the pain in your muscles in your ankle.
Mm-hmm.
And oh gosh. But I also like how they just like, even though I call season 1 like a build up for season 2 and 3, I do like how they do some things, like how Retsuko does befriend 2 major higher up employees, and it's not just a one-off or one-time thing. When she befriends Washimi and Gori, like they're best friends, and I mean I don't know. I know we got to get to Wolfwalkers, but Aggretsuko is great. Do not let the art style fool you or the short runtime. Yeah, I mean, yes, some of the pacing can be a little wonky due to the 15-minute time periods and just like the pacing of the season and such. But I think Aggretsuko is not just one of the best anime of the last decade, but one of the best cartoons of the past decade.
Yes, I'm not. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to combine anime and Western animation in my top 10.
Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying, like in general.
But I will still just say like, go watch this series because it's amazing. Season 1 is great with a lowercase g. Season 2 is great with a capital G, and season 3 is damn near perfection.
Yeah. I mean, good job, for making it. Like, they could have easily made this like super cutesy and kind of harmless, but they got the right team to talk about this and to like handle these subjects and such. Like, I don't know how much more I want of Aggretsuko. Like, I think I would be happy with like one more season. Just because it's so story focused.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad the show exists. It would probably be like one of the few shows that I hope Netflix puts on Blu-ray. Because I could watch it. I would like to own it. I'd like to support Sanrio and Netflix that way instead of just subscriptions and whatnot.
Right.
So, go ahead.
I was just going to say, speaking of subscriptions, while Apple has not given a release date yet for this one, we were able to catch a digital screening of Wolfwalkers at the Toronto International Film Festival, digital version. I'm not going to bury the lead. Wolfwalkers is my second or third favorite film of the year overall, and absolutely the best animated film of 2020.
Yeah, so we weren't really going to talk about Wolfwalkers until it came out on Apple Plus, but then I realized checking up on the Toronto Film Festival while I was at the beach, and they had it available to rent. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm sure it's just for Canada only. Canada. You're not over the... You might have let us watch Wolfwalkers, but I'm not getting over the fact that you get to see SpongeBob first. No, I'm kidding. But then it's like I realized, oh my gosh, this is one of the few films that they have rentable in both Canada and the US. Of course, I'm going to take advantage of this. And then I make sure to tell Mike about this, and it's like, I agree. Wolfwalkers, unless Soul and Connected or like any of the other films somehow are able to top it, Wolfwalkers is the best animated movie of 2020. Tom Moore and his team at Cartoon Saloon and the co-director Ross Stewart put out an amazing movie. Oh my gosh. Okay, so where should we start?
We can start with a little bit of background that this is they call this the third film in the Irish folklore trilogy.
Yeah. And that includes Secret of Kells and Song of the Sea.
Yeah. One of those is on Netflix. The other one is like $2 on YouTube.
Oh,
which we'll do a Cartoon Saloon episode one day.
Yeah, maybe when Wolfwalkers officially comes out on Apple Plus, we'll do a whole episode talking about Cartoon Saloon. So this was a new movie by Tom Moore, who did Secret of Kells and Song of the Sea. And Mike and I got to see a preview of the work in progress of this film during Annecy Online back in June. And oh my gosh. First of all, that was exciting enough, but to see the finished project, it's like the biggest chef's kiss of like, this is the best thing ever kind of reaction. And and yes, it is unfortunately tied to Apple TV Plus, so you need a subscription for that. But if you are able to go to a theater, if you feel comfortable enough to do so, I'm not, as much as we're going to recommend this movie, we're only going to recommend it when it hits Apple TV Plus, because it will have a small theatrical release in the US by G Kids. Which, first off, I'm glad G Kids got involved, because G Kids and Cartoon Saloon, that's like, you can't break that up, man. I don't care. I don't care how much money you have, Apple. You're going to let G Kids put a theatrical release for this film, and hopefully maybe a physical release, but we will hope for that later. And so the tech demo for this film showed up maybe around 2016, 2017. It was like right around when The Breadwinner was coming out. And if anyone's curious, there's really not a whole lot different. Maybe some more stylized sequences are in the tech demo or the pitch trailer for it. But what you see in that trailer is really what you get in the final product. And the story, and I think that's where we will go next. We follow a young girl named Robin, who came from England to, did they say it's Ireland, or is it Scotland?
It's Ireland.
Okay, Ireland. I'm just making sure. I have a bad habit of sometimes mixing up Scotland and Ireland, and that's not okay, because there is a difference. So Honor Neefsey plays Robin, and I forgot to mention this. Sean Bean is her father, Bill Goodfellow,
which is just perfect casting for this character.
Yes, and I'm not going to bury the lead here. Sean Bean does not die So he's probably happy about that. I mean, if you know the whole Sean Bean dies in every movie he's in meme that goes
Right.
around. And that's not true, but it happens a lot. So they're in this town, and this town is being overrun by wolves who are rightfully attacking because the town's leader, the Lord Protector, Oliver Cromwell, who is an actual person, which was kind of an interesting idea. It kind of Anastasia in that kind of sense, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a fairy tale with real people. Is like cutting down the trees, so you get kind of an environmental thing here. And one day she meets up with this young girl, this young spicy redhead, who lives among the wolves and is a wolf walker who can change. Who, when she goes to sleep, she turns into a wolf and has mystical powers. And she bonds with this young girl who's Mebin McTire. That, and I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly because it's
Mabe.
Yeah, Mabe. Who's voiced by Ava Whitaker. No relations to Forrest Whitaker. And really, it's just like she finds out. Robin finds out that Mabe's mom, Molly McTire, or Maul McTire, has been asleep for a long time now. Like, she's stuck in her wolf form, and you find out spoilers. You find out that her mom has been kidnapped by Lord Protector Oliver Cromwell. And Cromwell is very much a well, first of all, he's a terrible person. He's a very evil Frollo level villain, who uses like mass hysteria to like take down the wolves, and like if you side yourself with the wolves or if you don't side with my leadership, we'll throw you into the jail or behead you if need be. And it's up to her.
So totally not corrupt at all.
Yeah, no, not corrupt at all. And at first I was like, Cromwell's kind of a bland villain, but then it's like when you watch the movie, he's actually, I mean, yeah, he's basically 100% bad, but he's so creepy and very intimidating, very threatening. He's a very straightforward villain.
Yeah, that he's not the most well defined villain, but he's effective for what this story is.
And once again, a lot of these this film loves to dabble in like, well, first of all, it's like it tackles with themes of colonialism, environmentalism, identity, freedom, because a lot of like Robin's plight and her arc is to feel freedom amongst like, because she wants to be a hunter, but her dad's very protective and doesn't want her to get killed. And then it's like when she ends up befriending the Wolfwalkers, she ends up getting the powers of the Wolfwalkers and enjoys like being a wolf, like running through the forest, and probably the best sequence in all of animation film of the year, which they showed at Animation is Film.
Oh yeah, they
Oh, not Animation is Film, Annecy, sorry.
Yeah, at Annecy they let us see like they let us see like some of the best sequences, and they are like the scenes where they're running like they're running in the woods in like, and we get to see their kind of like wolf vision.
Oh gosh, I guess we should talk about the visuals. This is a beautiful movie. It's done and yes, it's digital, like 2D, but it's animated in a way that, just to quote us from earlier, it's very much like a Don Bluth like sketch kind of way. It's very fluid, but it looks like everything's made by like pencil.
Yeah, like a lot of the choices they made were were deliberate. Really harkening back to like in that interview I mentioned earlier, they also kind of cite like late '60s Disney animation as an influence. You know, stuff like 101 Dalmatians, Robin,
Right.
where you can like see like the pencil marks. It's like they tried to make it as like unclean as possible.
And I think that fits because the whole world that they live in is beautiful, but there's like a grime to it.
Yeah, because like our characters spend a lot of time in the forest.
Yeah, and just like, it does feel like that kind of rough drawing sketch style. And then when you see the wolf vision, it's done in like a charcoal drawing kind of way, like animation, and like I think this is their most ambitious animated project, but that's because I know you haven't seen all of the Cartoon Saloon's films, but I think this is their most like accomplished yet.
If the Breadwinner is their most like mature and possibly even darkest, this is it's still dark in its own right, but it has some of the most beautiful sequences I've seen in animation.
Yeah, I just love the animation. One of my favorite sequences in just terms of visual look was when Robin finds the secret den and then she's chased out, like playfully. It's something about the movements, just the fluidity of the movements of Robin running as the background like scrolls, and you see the wolves running alongside her, and the young Wolfwalker, Meb, running alongside her. Like, that's a very intricate like piece of animation right there, because you have multiple moving targets while you have to make the weight of their movements match the scrolling of the background. Because I think that's what kind of failed about Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. Sometimes the weight of the movements did not match like the snappiness of the camera or like the sequences of that show. But when you watch Wolfwalkers, everything feels cohesive. And then they also do cool little Samurai Jack like editing, like, you know, when they do like the multiple panels.
Yep.
Like this frame has this part, this frame has this part, this frame has this part. And I mean, like, do you have anything else to say about the animation?
I think you pretty much kind of nailed it. In my quick thoughts review, I cite Bluth and Tartakovsky as like kind of influences, because you know I did notice a lot of similarities in the editing between this movie and Samurai Jack.
Yeah, something like Samurai Jack or Primal. And this is a very dark movie. Even though like The Breadwinner might be the darkest film they've made, this one's still pretty intense. Like, there are some ugly people, which is like the point. It kind of takes like a Beauty and the Beast from the 90s approach.
Yeah, like man is the real monster.
Yeah, so much that, and like sometimes you don't even see like the soldiers. You don't see the eyes. It's an approach that reminds me of a Netflix film that came out last year that I saw in 2018 called Pachamama, where they made the Spanish conquistadors not have a face for the most part. And I mean, like, and oh my gosh, the music. Like, the music is so beautiful. And it's like, once again, Moore is collaborating with a singer called Bruno, let's see, Coales, and the folk group Kila. And their music is just amazing. And he's collaborated with them before with like Song of the Sea and The Secret of Kells. And, you know, it might be a happier ending than I think maybe some people might not want. But I like the happy ending with Wolfwalkers.
Same. Again, the Don Bluth approach.
Yeah, it's the Don Bluth approach.
Put as much like darkness into like the first couple acts, but end on a happy note, and you'll have a winner.
Yeah, and we won't say what happens, but I guess saying it has a happier ending kind of gives you an idea. But like at first I was like, oh man, they're gonna stay dark and like they're gonna let some things happen. But I like it. It's just like it's great comfort to like everything that happened before. And I like the villain death. I like what happens to our super tyrannical colonizer.
Mm-hmm.
Or well, what do you think?
No, I think his death is very appropriate.
It kind of reminds me of Tarzan with Clayton's death, where it was, I think, fitting.
Yeah.
And I mean, say what you will about Tarzan, that death is effective. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. This like what else? Do you have anything else to say about this movie?
I'm just going to my final thoughts right now.
Yeah.
We will have another opportunity once we finally have a release date. We will dive deeper into this, but for now, just take our word for it that this is one of the best movies of the year, animated or otherwise.
Yes, it's the best animated film of the year. It's probably my favorite film of the year. And I know a lot of films have come out and not lived up to the hype. Looking at you, Tenet. But Wolfwalkers will be deserving of all the hype that you want it to have, and it deserves. It's one of those films that pays off in like just instantly. And I'll be doing a more personal review of it fairly soon, but I'm going to be posting another review first that I'll talk about in my recommendations. But yes, please do. If you have to see this movie, please watch it on Apple Plus. And I know nobody wants to get another streaming service, but this is like the one film that I think has made me owning Apple TV Plus worth it.
Agreed. Now, before we wrap things up, because we have gone well over 2.5 hours.
Absolutely.
I don't think I have really that many recommendations this week, although I do want to tease our next episode of Tooned Up, which this has been something in the works for a while. Next week, we have a couple of guests joining us for a celebration of Gravity Falls, because this is one of those shows that is something that I've never seen before, and I'm finally getting the chance to watch in its entirety.
Same.
And B, it's a show that's inspired like this modern renaissance for Disney animation, and I think now is probably the best time to go back to the source and discover what made this like the breakout hit that it was.
I agree. I can't wait. So if this goes as planned, we're not going to have another episode like next week, as we're recording this, I mean. But we're going to take a week off to watch Gravity Falls, all 3 of its seasons. And then we'll be doing the whole episode with our guest stars on it. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
All right, since unfortunately we've gone super over time, Cameron, where can people find you online?
You can find me in the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group. I'm on Twitter at Cam's Eye View. I run a site called camseyeview.biz where I review animated films called The Other Side of Animation. And I'm going to be celebrating my 5th year of writing animated films.
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank you. And I'll be posting a review of Children of the Sea, which is going to be my recommendation for the week. It's a beautiful Japanese animated film by Studio 4 Degrees Celsius or 4C. it's just I'll just say this, it's a beautiful movie and an ethereal experience unlike any other. It's out right now on DVD and Blu-ray and digital by G Kids, and it's on Netflix right now.
Ooh, I am definitely looking forward to checking this one out.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a catch-up, like a few catch-up videos. Like we'll do one for TV shows and one for movies. Maybe in November and December and such. Because I don't think we'll be getting that many more new cartoons and new animated films.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, I mean, but we'll see what happens. We have to be flexible with this show. But yeah, that's where you can find me on my website and Twitter and in the Facebook group. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/GamesIView. If you like my work and you'd like to support me, it's only $1 a month if you become a patron. Mike, what about you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainK482. Check out my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK482. Find me in all the various Facebook groups, just at my name. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at RenPopCulture. We are available on Anchor and Spotify. And also, last but not least, check out our website, www.renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That's it for this episode of Tuned Up. We will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Bye. Oh, and quickly, sorry. Hooray for Harley Quinn getting season 3. Woo! Bye. Woo!